Hello everyone, it's Professor Fishin back again, and today we'll actually be ranking all of the S-Class heroes. I know I'm seen as the ultimate authority on all things One Punch Man related, so I'm sure everyone in the world will agree with me. In all seriousness, we will be ranking the S-Class heroes today. I'm basically stepping into a war zone just by making this video due to its very nature, as there's a lot of contentious matchups to go over. I have to talk about 17 characters here, so my explanations may be kinda brief. For the most part, this video will be based on inverse power scaling only. This means no calcs. This script is also only relevant up to chapter 188 when I wrote it, or around the end of the Garou Saga, so it's possible this video could become outdated as characters get power-ups. I've been debating and scaling One Punch Man for a while, so I think I have a lot of knowledge and hopefully I can provide a new perspective for more casual fans. With that in mind, let's get right into the video. To help organize the heroes, I've divided them into strength tiers where there could be some wiggle room. Starting with the low tier are the three heroes most considered the weaker ones, those being Puri Prisoner, Tank Top Master, and Pig God. While he has definitely gotten stronger since he lost to the Sea King, Puri Prisoner is ranked last at 17. Prisoner has some good feats, such as stomping a Sea King level monster or clashing with Melzagard. He does, however, admit to being the weakest S-Class, and being above Sea King level is not enough to get you very far on this list. Pig God comes up next at 16. He surprisingly has very few feats, so I'd honestly be fine if you guys wanted to rank him lower if you don't take Prisoner's statement that seriously. He faces the dragon level monster Gums, however he seems to get stomped pretty badly and can't do more than leave a few scuff marks on the monster. He does at least endure an extended battle with Gums, showing top tier demons would at least have a hard time getting through Pig God's thick defenses. But unfortunately, we just don't know that much about his actual offensive abilities or the upper limits of what he can do. At 15 and the top of low tier is Tank Top Master. Master can actually withstand Gums' bites when caught off guard, even though Gums is probably trying even harder than he did against Pig God. While he is outclassed, even just holding off Gums for a moment is pretty good since he did it with just his raw strength. This puts him above Pig God since Pig God was constantly getting pinned and damaged by these same bites. He fights Garou, and Garou is forced to use the Water Stream Rock Smashing Fist, which he didn't even use against Metal Bat until he got more amped up. Metal Bat, even in base, can of course tangle with Melzagard as well. Garou also compares his strength to chapter 83 Genos, much stronger compared to when he beat Sea King in the audiobook. Some people want to rank Prisoner higher for withstanding a hit from Nyan or helping against Psychos Orochi. However, Prisoner actually didn't take this hit. It literally ripped through his chest and he merely regenerated. Against Psychos, she'd been hit by a combined attack from Atomic Samurai, Genos, and Drive Knight, but Prisoner also utilizes his vibration technique, an attack that's powered up by the amount of damage he sustains. Considering right before this he takes an extended beatdown from Sleeping Garou, a character Prisoner thinks that even the upper ranked S-Class would struggle with, more than likely means it doesn't scale the Prisoner's normal abilities. Similarly, Pig God saves Tank Top Master several times, however, this is not as impressive as you'd think. He basically just shoved Gums when he was already trying to eat Master. Think about it if you're lifting very heavy weights that push you to your limit, then suddenly a 5-year-old punches you in the gut. Both Pig God and Prisoner do have insane amounts of endurance or regeneration, so it's possible either of them could overcome Tank Top Master, but in terms of raw power scaling, the scale goes Prisoner, then Pig God, and Master at the top. Moving on to mid-tier, rank 14 is Zombie Man. Zombie Man is a really weird one, and depending on your interpretation, he could go a little lower or a lot higher. Zombie Man is mainly known for his ridiculous amounts of stamina and regeneration. Against Pureblood, he was beaten 200 times before landing an effective counterattack. At one point, he fights a virtual Carnage Kabuto, an opponent that had just stomped post-Season 1 Genos and base Metal Bat, and after outlasting Kabuto, who has a week of stamina, he finishes off the exhausted mutant. How he did it is a little ambiguous, however, he either mauled Kabuto or finished him off with his array of enhanced firearms. This might be supported by the idea he had secret hidden aces for dealing with dragon level monsters in the raid arc. Considering Kabuto could clash with and take swings from Metal Bat in base, and base Metal Bat can clash with Melzagard alongside Prisoner, this means Zombie Man should at least have weapons capable of damaging those in low tier. I think this makes the most sense considering physically he is implied to be the weakest S-Class, and would require these weapons for dealing with more powerful monsters. Like I said, Zombie Man could go higher depending on his regeneration, but it seems to be a very case-by-case basis and not consistent enough for a ranking video. We'll see that there's many heroes that have direct counters to his regeneration. Bottom of mid-tier is good for him for now. Rank 13 is Metal Bat. Metal Bat, even in base, is able to hold his own with Melzigard alongside Puri Prisoner, and could also briefly fight Carnage Kabuto, who had just stomped early Season 2 Genos. This is enough to at least put him near the top of low tier, but his rank gets severely boosted by his fighting spirit amps. In the Monster Association saga, he fights Senior Centipede and, this guy, two monsters that can fight him pretty relatively, but when Metal Bat gets pumped up, he's able to one-shot both of them, despite the fact that it's stated Senior Centipede can tank Genos blasts without so much as a scratch. He then faces Garou, and while Garou is much stronger at first, Metal Bat gets amped up again and can tank full Water Stream barrages, and by the end, Garou was straight up baffled by the power of his swings, something he never credited to Tank Top Master. Even after Garou thinks he won, Metal Bat gets back up and Murata confirms he could have unalived Garou right there. Later on, Metal Bat does get much better feats during the Monster Association War when he tag teams with Garou. However, it's debatable whether that applies to his normal combat abilities, as we've already seen he gets his bones broken and extremely tuckered out facing normal Elder Centipede and human Garou, and he was being amped up by fighting alongside Garou. For those of you that think Metal Bat's feats are applicable to his current self, I'll provide a bonus placement for where he would go. Rank 12, Watchdog Man. I already know half the comments are going to be about this, but unfortunately, Watchdog Man currently doesn't have any feats to put him any higher. He faces Garou after Garou already pretty much defeated Metal Bat. Garou, who is possibly growing even stronger, watches all of Watchdog Man's movements in advance, but is still baffled by the speed and power he showcases in their fight. Considering Garou could at the very least damage pumped up Metal Bat, plus was so fast Metal Bat could never even hit him, should put Watchdog Man definitively above Metal Bat. He also utilizes an extremely advanced beast-like fighting style that tripped up both Garou and Genos. Watchdog Man versus Metal Bat would basically look like Garou versus Metal Bat, but even worse. And Metal Bat would ultimately just hit his limit. Watchdog Man fans, I'm sorry, but as of right now, this is where he stops. Ranks 11 and 10 are Drive Knight and Child Emperor. These two are sorta interchangeable, but both should scale above those listed below for scaling to cadres. The cadres are stated several times to be much stronger than human Garou, with lower ranked demon levels like Bug God and Royal Ripper able to give Garou an extremely hard time. Drive Knight fights Nyan, and while Drive Knight tells Sekigar that it was an extremely difficult, in the actual fight he can blitz Nyan, tank his attacks, and damage him. By the end of the fight he's able to cook Nyan to a crisp, then skewer him like a shish kebab, ultimately winning with only moderate difficulty. You can simply interpret Drive Knight having trouble as Nyan already being decently powerful, as well as having the ability to squeeze into extremely small spaces. Regardless, in terms of power, speed, and durability, he blatantly scales to the cat, which is a more impressive feat than anything Watchdog Man has. For Child Emperor, it's a little more complicated. However, Phoenix Man is heavily implied to be a very high-ranked demon level monster. This is because it is stated many times that he is middle ranked, above those around him, and that the Monster Association hierarchy is based on power. He then gets an insane power-up where he goes from not even scratching Child Emperor's shield to shattering 5 at the same time. Being 5 times stronger than any demon level monster, including Royal Ripper and Pig God, is pretty insane, and is pretty much definitionally cadre level, considering all the cadres really have is being above Garou and the demons. With Brave Giant, Child Emperor can fight amped Phoenix Man, matching his strength and tanking his attacks. He's also able to dodge the jet streams of Evil Natural Water, another cadre. Seeing as both characters scale to a tier that should be significantly stronger than human Garou, they'd each be above Watchdog Man and Metal Bat. They are also equipped with arsenals of poisons, barriers, and ranged attacks that would allow them to deal with Metal Bat's fighting spirit and Zombie Man's regeneration. Deciding which of the two is stronger is hard to say. Drive Knight beats Nyan while Child Emperor loses to Phoenix Man. Phoenix Man is also probably much stronger than Nyan, which also makes things complicated. I'll say in my own personal opinion, I think Child Emperor is slightly stronger, but the two are pretty much the exact same scaling wise. Moving on to our high tier S class and rank 9, Super Alloy Darkshine. Yeah, I know, a lot has changed. Darkshine battles Garou, and Garou at this point should pretty much sweep mid-tier. We've already seen him fight Metal Mat and basically win in a weaker form, and now he's so strong that even in his sleep, Puri Prisoner thinks he's even more powerful than Nyan, the same monster who gave Drive Knight a decently hard time. He can also deflect Orochi's horn attacks, the same horn attacks that made Child Emperor terrified to even run into Orochi. Thus, it's very consistent for Garou to be near the top or above mid-tier outright. Darkshine then stomps and bisects this Garou without even trying, completely overpowering the water stream with just a tackle, and then later when Garou evolves even more, Darkshine goes full power and with his Super Alloy Double Bazooka, damages Garou and forces him to regenerate. This is despite the fact he thinks Garou would fold every hero in the attack team, including Zombie Man, Atomic Samurai, and suppressed Tatsumaki. Later on, he blatantly does much better than Drive Knight in damaging Psychos Orochi, and destroys Evil Natural Water, who is even stronger than since he stopped Child Emperor. And you see how Darkshine pretty consistently scales above mid-tier. Rank 8, 7, and 6, Atomic Samurai with the Sunblade, Flashy Flash, and Full Power Silverfang. These three are ranked here for scaling to either Monsterized Garou or Golden S. Both are a tier of power that should at least scale above Darkshine, with Golden S one-shotting Darkshine and stomping Vomit Fair Ugly, who also beat Darkshine. Garou in an earlier form also just overpowers and matches Darkshine, and later is able to kick a hole through an amped Fear Ugly. Atomic Samurai in particular is able to almost kill Homeless Emperor, a cadre that stomped Fur Ugly as well, and proceeds to chop off Golden S' arm. Golden S could tank Vomit Fear Ugly, literally puking a pool of acid on him, while a spitball was enough to damage Darkshine. And Atomic Samurai is capable of damaging this. Bang and Flash both fight Garou. Much to people's surprise, Garou was probably not nerfed here by being asleep, as he was using the Awakening Breath, which pushes him to his limits in combat. This means they both scale to Garou stomping Darkshine, one-shotting Fair Ugly, and being able to damage suppressed Platinum S. Flash also fights Platinum S, but he seems to be suppressed as he and Garou speed up immediately after Flash is defeated. It could be said that it's implied that even while suppressed, Platinum S is stronger than Golden S, and Platinum S also implies Flash is the strongest human he's encountered, even after fighting Sunblade Atomic Samurai. On top of that, Flash had to fight in hand-to-hand combat as opposed to with a sword, which we just saw him use to chop 2 dragon-level monsters in half. Because of these reasons, and Garou being able to one-shot Vomit Fear Ugly, which we didn't see Golden S do, I think Flash and Bang should be above Atomic Samurai. Even if you believe Sunblade Atomic Samurai is equal or slightly better than them in terms of raw power, he runs out of stamina very quickly, so it's more than likely he would lose in a fight against them. So he is number 8. As for who is stronger between Flash and Bang, this is extremely contentious. Both of them scale to Garou and have advantages in certain aspects, and honestly, it would take me an entire video to really break it down. The two are borderline equals, and I think which is stronger is easily one of the best debates you could have right now. So for now, we'll just say they are tied or interchangeable at numbers 7 or 6. At the top of high tier and rank number 5, we have Metal Knight, or Dr. Beaufoy. This is definitely a contentious placement, as most power scalers I feel would rank him lower, while casual fans would rank him a lot higher. For those of you who are extremely skeptical about his abilities, he should at least be in high tier and would be just below Darkshine. This is because Child Emperor obviously states that he has firepower beyond any hero, which would at least include himself, and Drive Knight also seems to think that Metal Knight is a huge threat. He's also able to react to Orochi's horns, which could, at times, catch half monster Garou lacking. And the fact that Orochi's horn could even penetrate Bofoi's drone terrified Child Emperor. That alone is enough to put him at the top of high tier, but I think there's a decent argument that he'd go at the top. Like I mentioned earlier, Child Emperor believes that Metal Knight is stronger than any hero, which he states after seeing the S-Class team up and take down Psychos Orochi, in which he sees Tatsumaki create a giant spear of light that obliterates the Monster King. What makes this impressive is that right before this, Orochi withstands an attack from Darkshine, Base Atomic Samurai, and most importantly for this argument, a combo attack from Bang and Bomb. This combo attack is stated even more powerful than the combination they used to destroy the shell of Elder Centipede. This could be more consistent with the statement from Giro, who estimates that Metal Knight could oppose Elder Centipede, and the Hero Association theorizes he could become a threat to them one day, even with the knowledge they have suppressed Tatsumaki. Elder Centipede is a high-ranking monster cadre that Bang implies he'd have to gamble his life against, and in one's original storyboards, is too powerful for Bang to defeat even with backup. So for Metal Knight to be considered a genuine threat to him, should put him at the top of this tier. Some fans think he should actually go higher and be in God tier. However, his best scaling caps at around Elder Centipede level as of now, and he doesn't really have anything to suggest he could do anything to the really top tier monsters. We are now on to the God tier characters, starting with a very contentious placement, Genos, or the Demon Cyborg, at number 4. While throughout the video I've used Genos as a benchmark for several other characters, by the time of the Monster Association War, he received a pretty intense upgrade. In his base state, he's able to fight alongside Drive Knight, but he's also able to use a 10 seconds Final Resort mode. When he uses his Final Resort, he's able to contend with Psychos Orochi at its peak. Orochi, even in base while hiding his true power, is already far more powerful than any cadre. Even with the knowledge that King had one-shot Elder Centipede, Psychos was baffled that Orochi could even be defeated, and when Orochi meets Saitama, who he believes stomped Elder Centipede, Goketsu, and Rover, he gets excited, not scared. He then fuses with Psychos, a powerful Espers who claims to surpass the cadres entirely, as shown by her confidence to face Tatsumaki, who she believes would stomp Elder Centipede. Oh yeah, and she blitzed Flashy Flash. Joking. But maybe. When Genos senses Psychos' power, initially, he claims he cannot even measure it, but later is able to measure the ultra high energy coming from Garou when he sends Platinum S flying with a punch, meaning it's more than likely much more powerful than even Platinum S, or can at least damage Platinum S, and thus could beat up on Flashy Flash as well. At least in terms of raw power. Speed is more up for debate, but in terms of raw power, pretty clearly above Flashy. Some will argue that Tatsumaki's first attack significantly weakened Psychos Orochi, however, it's after that first attack that they become enraged and almost kill Tatsumaki. Tatsumaki's first attack also only attacked Psychos' main body and didn't damage any of the roots that spread throughout the entire city. Genos is able to clash with Psychos Orochi several times, and while isn't exactly able to match their full power, he's able to divert several blasts intended to finish off Tatsumaki, and intercept several smaller attacks as well. In the end, Genos pushes his limits to save Tatsumaki, and while it almost rips his body apart, he holds off a full power blast from Psychos and completely cancels it out. This is from a character who would one-shot every single cadre, probably all at the same time. The fact that Genos can even remotely hold a candle to this in battle means he would annihilate every single cadre, and thus entirely scales above high tier, which struggles with the cadres. While Metal Knight may be able to outlast Genos with sheer numbers, but in terms of power scaling and raw power, Genos simply scales to a much more powerful Monster King. For those of you Metal Bat fanboys, this is where he would go if you think his resonance amps are applicable to his base abilities. The debate mainly stems from when people exactly think Garou started to amp up Metal Bat. Personally, I think it makes the most sense if it happened almost immediately, but I'll dive into that in a future video. Regardless, Metal Bat joins the battle against Sage Centipede alongside Garou. Garou right before this completely speed blitzed and one-shot full power and enraged Platinum S, who far surpassed Flashy Flash and Monster Garou at the start of the fight. Sage Centipede then appears, a monster sent to face the fist that turned against God, that being Saitama. If God is aware that Saitama annihilated Orochi, and created Sage Centipede with the intention of facing Saitama alongside evil Ocean Water, then he'd be far stronger than Orochi. Not to mention, Sage Centipede was summoned on the sacrifice altar where Orochi was destined to resurrect God. It would be pretty weird if Orochi was stronger than the guy he was sacrificed to summon. Metal Bat initially can just barely keep up with Garou, but can't inflict any damage to Sage Centipede. As the battle goes on, Metal Bat gets amped up and can blatantly combo attack with Garou, even though Garou was not slowing himself down to combo. If anything, Garou was probably trying even harder compared to his earlier battles, since he's especially motivated to save Tereo. Metal Bat, when amped up, can now also damage Sage, which baffles the monster, arguably more so than Garou did at the start of the fight. Even lowballing, being relative to Garou, puts Metal Bat way above Platinum S, a character which would stomp most of high tier with ease. Between the two, I'd rank Genos a little higher, but this is of course a bonus placement. If you do think this is where Metal Bat really belongs, you can just bump everyone else down a number and put him up here. Rank 3, and no surprise, is Tatsumaki. The same Psychos Orochi fusion I've been hyping up for like the last 5 minutes gets washed and no diffed as soon as Tatsumaki goes full power. She could literally annihilate every cadre just by clenching her fists. Like I said with Genos, Garou's energy was something Genos could measure, but Psychos and Tatsumaki he couldn't. This means monsterized Garou, who just dominated both Bang and Flashy Flash, would literally get squeezed and one-shot by Tatsumaki. She's considered the ultimate weapon of the hero world in the absence of Blast. Many will point to the fact that the Hero Association thinks Metal Knight could become a threat one day, and so he scales to Tatsumaki. The problem is, nobody actually knows how strong Tatsumaki really is. Even her sister Fubuki doesn't know her true strength. The guide confirms this, saying nobody has ever seen her at her limit, so the Hero Association would only be comparing Metal Knight to a suppressed Tatsumaki. She's pretty obviously a top tier character and belongs at rank number 3. And number 2 is Blast. It's pretty clear Blast stands at the top. The fact that Tatsumaki is phrased as the ultimate weapon after Blast basically just states that he is above her. Standing at the top of all heroes, the apex of power. In terms of raw feats, he blitzes a full speed Flashy Flash and proceeds to tango with awakened Garou. Garou at this point received many power-ups since he destroyed Sage Centipede with a karate chop, and when Garou and Saitama trade serious punches, Blast is actually able to react to them before their fists reach each other, and can warp their energy into space. He straight up just reacts to bloodlusted Saitama, which is pretty much an unparalleled feat by any of the heroes so far. Fubuki even theorizes that Blast could solo all the S-Class at the same time, and as the only hero capable of opposing God, Blast pretty obviously deserves this number 2 spot. And finally, rank 1 is King. Anyway guys, thank you for watching. This video, obviously while in depth, doesn't give each hero as much credit as they really deserve, and I eventually plan on making a video on every single S-Class hero, because I think they are all underrated. If you want to see those videos, please subscribe and hit the bell icon so you are up to date with all my videos. And if you guys want to talk to me or you disagree with the ranking, which, yeah, there's a lot of contentious placements in here, I won't lie, then you guys should join my Discord server for my community. I interact with it pretty often, so I'd love to see more people in there. With that in mind, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.